Weren't you concerned, Mr. Ion? Here's Mr. Mauerman trying to start his business, trying to earn money to pay you back. Weren't you concerned that saying these things to a potential customer of his would harm your ability to recoup your money?
I wasn't getting paid anything at the time. And whenever I'd reached out, he had some other reason or justification as to why he couldn't pay me. Yet, while we were still friends on social media, I see him golfing, I see him eating out, I see him doing things which really pained me because I'm like, that's my money. If I saw him training a bunch and taking a second job to repay his debts to the people that he owes, I would have nothing bad to say about him.
I think we got it.
I think
Agreed?
so.
So the parties are excused while we deliberate on this matter.
This courtroom is now in recess. Excuse the
Okay, so this is pretty straightforward in terms of the business loan. Yes. We had the defendant actually
You mean the
say
$4,000?
The $4,000. He already admitted that that's what he owes, so that's already established. What isn't is the $2,600, and they didn't have any evidence, and they were both kind of being very evasive about how many training sessions they had together. But you had the defendant say from the $2,600, just a little less than that.
Yeah.
So I believe that because he's asking for the court's $5,000 max, I think he's at least owed $1,000, given the fact the defendant said just a little less than $2,600 is, I think, what I owe him.
And I thought Judge Juarez made some very good points about the defamatory remarks. You know, I thought they were gratuitous, unnecessary.
It was one, y'all.
And
Judge Carrera, it was one comment.
Well, one could be devastating.
But one was because
To a
he saw
client.
someone he knew who was training with him. I think I would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
I probably would have
yeah,
went
but-
a little less hard.
I'm also not convinced that this guy who clearly was following Mr.
They were
Mauerman's
both-
social media,
they were both following
getting
each other.
angry about golfing and that's my money. I'm not convinced that this was a one-time only
Yeah.
Instagram message.
I do.
I think it's the only one that Mr. Mauerman found out about.
If you call me a con man, or you say to anybody I'm using mushrooms other than on linguine or whatever it is, I'm going to get really angry.
But he wasn't paying him
and I'm going to be
anyway.
very embarrassed
But
about
he wasn't
that.
paying him anyway, guys.
I was going most of this case thinking that the plaintiff simply didn't have the goods on how many training sessions he paid for and didn't get. The math wasn't adding up to me, but the defendant said, I think it's almost the amount that he claims. So I do think that because of the defendant's admission and because of that only, at least $1,000 is owed for the training sessions. And, you know, I feel kind of the same about the defamation sort of offset. I think that the defendant admitted he didn't lose any business because of these statements.
Well, there is defamation per se.
That's true, and I think calling him a con artist comes pretty close to defamation per se, because I think that those are allegations of criminal activity. Mr. Ion satisfied me that the other statements, there's enough evidence that they were true, and so therefore you can't have defamation.
So both of you agree that it's very likely that he owes $1,000.
That's my position.
Yeah.
I would go with the $5,000.
I do think that if we didn't have the court maximum of 5,000, I might take that one comment, the con artist comment,
Yeah.
And maybe
Okay.
say definitely.
Do we have a verdict?
Yeah,
I think
we
it's
do.
unanimous.
We
All
do.
right. All right, gentlemen, we have reached a verdict. Let me just say that this was pretty simple on the issue of the business loan. You, Mr. Mauerman, agreed that you did owe the $4,000 that was loaned to you, so that was not an issue. What was at issue was the $2,600 that you claimed, Mr. Ion, that you were owed for the prepaid training sessions. Neither of you could really give us a specific number of training sessions that y'all had together, and don't make fun of
No, I'm not-
my y'all. Okay, I'm from Texas, so y'all. But y'all both do agree that the sessions weren't fulfilled. You don't know how many. You said you probably owe a little less than $2,600. So our verdict today would be that, Mr. Ion, you are owed the $5,000, $4,000 for the loan, and we believe that you're at least owed $1,000 worth of training sessions. Best of luck to the both of you, and that is the verdict of the court.
Thank you.